You're watching the History Fella channel. In this video we're looking at the Battle of Fort Sumter. The Battle of Fort Sumter, April the 12th to the 13th of 1861, was the bombardment of Fort Sumter near Charleston, South Carolina, by the South Carolina militia. It ended with its surrender by the United States Army, beginning the American Civil War. Following the declaration of secession by South Carolina on December the 20th, 1860, its authorities demanded that the U.S. Army abandon its facilities in Charleston Harbor. On December the 26th, Major Robert Anderson of the U.S. Army, in violation of the unofficial truce deal made between the U.S. and Confederate governments, surreptitiously moved his small command from the vulnerable Fort Moultrie on Sullivan's Island to Fort Sumter, a substantial fortress built on an island controlling the entrance of Charleston Harbor. An attempt by U.S. President James Buchanan to reinforce and resupply Anderson using the unarmed merchant ship Star of the West failed. This failed when it was fired upon by shore batteries on January the 9th, 1861. The ship was hit 3 times, which caused no major damage, but nonetheless kept the supplies from reaching Anderson. Seeing its deal with the federal government having been violated, South Carolina authorities then seized all federal property in the Charleston area except Fort Sumter. During the early months of 1861, the situation around Fort Sumter increasingly began to resemble a siege. In March, Brigadier General P.G.T. Beauregard, the first general officer of the newly formed Confederate States Army, was placed in command of the Confederate forces in Charleston. Beauregard energetically directed the strengthening of batteries around Charleston Harbor, aimed at Fort Sumter. Conditions in the fort deteriorated due to the shortages of men, food and supplies as the Union soldiers rushed to complete the installation of additional guns. The resupply of Fort Sumter became the first crisis of the administration of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, inaugurated on March the 4th, 1861, following his victory in the election of November the 6th, 1860. He notified the governor of South Carolina, Francis Wilkinson Pickens, that he was sending supply ships, which resulted in an ultimatum from the Confederate government for the immediate evacuation of Fort Sumter, which Major Anderson refused. Beginning at 4:30 a.m. on April the 12th, the Confederates bombarded the fort from artillery batteries surrounding the harbor. Although the Union garrison returned fire, they were significantly outgunned, and after 34 hours, Major Anderson agreed to evacuate. There were no deaths on either side, as a direct result of this engagement, although a gun explosion during the surrender ceremonies on April the 14th caused the death of 2 U.S. Army soldiers. The event, often regarded as the first bloodshed of the Civil War, was the Baltimore riot of 1861, 1 week later. Following the battle, there was widespread support from both North and South for further military action. Lincoln's immediate call for 75,000 volunteers to suppress the rebellion resulted in an additional 4 southern states also declaring their secession and joining the Confederacy. The battle is usually recognized as the first of the American Civil War. If you found this video informative, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel.